Hey guys, it's Kami, and today I'll finally start the Musindo series, in which I'll try to cover all the aspects of Blader's Awakening. New skills, which old skills you should keep, hidden combos and other stuff. Actually, I have recorded original version of this video a few months ago, like a week after Awakening or so, but then I could not find the time to edit it to the point that I'm well above level 59 now, with all skills unlocked, plus I have more experience. So even though that at the time all my points were correct, I decided to re-record this video with the addition of some new points. I'll start with the interesting fact that even without Awakening weapon costume, Awakening skills heavily consume secondary weapon durability. I have made a couple of runs in which I haven't used bow at all, and as you know, its durability is not used with primary weapon skills at all, except those in the bow branch. So even though that in few of those I have used primary weapon a little bit, it has no influence in what I'll show to you. So here you can see the consumed durability of Awakening weapon and secondary weapon. I'll show you a couple of those while I'll speak. Basically, from my experience, 92% of the time secondary weapon durability was consumed more than Awakening weapon. From those 92%, the difference in 10 or less durability was around 25% only, which basically means that secondary weapon was consumed more than Awakening. From those 8% when Awakening weapon was consumed more, around 90% was the difference of 10 or less durability. I haven't tracked if only some skills use secondary weapon or every single one, but I'm not making this up, it sounds illogical, but that's how it is. Before the Awakening weapon I could easily hold the bow with 20 max durability, and that was more than enough for the primary skill tree. And unless you're fighting on a horseback, that is probably the same for you. Now, even more illogical info, at this point you will think that Awakening weapon costume is almost pointless to get, other than the looks. But actually I was surprised when I finally managed to buy it from the market. With Awakening weapon costume, only 70% of the time secondary weapon durability was consumed more than Awakening weapon. From those 70%, the difference in 10 or less durability was around 50%, which basically means that secondary weapon is still consumed more than Awakening, but less than without 10% decrease of Awakening weapon durability consumption. Which just completely makes no sense to me, but whatever, your experience might be different. From the remaining 30% when Awakening weapon was consumed more, around 75% was the difference of 10 or less durability. Which kind of also makes no sense, since that means that Awakening weapon was damaged more with 10% decrease of Awakening weapon durability consumption. You might say that hey, it's because you use both secondary weapon and green Awakening weapon. But you know what? Since I got both Awakening weapons so far, it is completely the same picture. The pool of runs which I tracked over this month was quite big. If I'll notice any substantial differences in the future, then I'll let you know. Anyway, as you can tell, Awakening weapon costume is not a must-have. And by the way, I have no idea if this is Blader Awakening specific or every single class has the same issue, as I haven't seen anyone talking about it at all. I tried to get Dandelion Musindo from the very beginning, but I failed to buy it a ridiculous amount of times with that old new capture plus reservation system, with which I haven't managed to buy even a single thing with purchase reservation. Even those that were registered all the time, they simply pass through my reservation straight to the market, and it's ridiculously hard to snatch items. Anyway, somehow I finally managed to buy plus 18 one from the first try, right when it went completely open for the purchase without this capture dice crap. Of course, dropping it from mobs or finding on the black market was nearly impossible with my luck. But that is not what this video is about, so back to the topic. Even with the difference in 25 attack between primary and Awakening weapon, Awakening skills are still noticeably stronger. Though note that there is 5 extra damage on that weapon, so the actual difference is smaller. Going from the same enhancement level of simple yellow-grey blade to Xarka felt like a huge difference. But that was not the case for Musindo, even though that it was one enhancement level higher and I moved to it just from the green one. Don't get me wrong, the difference is noticeable, but not that much. Probably because Musindo gets the accuracy from Xarka as well, so that awakening weapon switch doesn't affect the accuracy that much. Well, I have also enhanced hack gloves from plus 17 to plus 18 over the time, but I'm sure that that's not that big of a deal. If it would be, then I would notice it, as that was before the awakening, because I used Xarka during both plus 17 and plus 18 hack. So, subjectively saying, green and blue Musindo are not that bad if you would compare them to blades, especially since now you can upgrade blue Musindo to yellow grade. Also relating to the damage, keep in mind that you should not sell your primary weapon and buy a cheaper one, as your awakening skill's damage takes into calculation your primary weapon attack as well as its stats. If I recall correctly, currently 50% of the primary weapon attack is added to your awakening weapon attack. You won't see it directly added to the awakening damage stat, but as you probably know, that is not the only attack bonus that is not displayed in the stats. Also, I know that a lot of players all the time want to see the proof for it. But since it is not a video about that, I haven't bothered to search and include the links with proof. If you don't believe me, it was in Korean patch notes, it was in Japanese patch notes, probably you can even find it in one of the patch notes videos on my channel, and also there is an article somewhere on Inven where some Korean player tested this out by using different primary weapons and came to the same conclusion of 50%. If you're still not convinced and you're completely into conspiracy theories, even you can test it. Just get someone on arena, strike him with awakening skill equipped with high damage primary weapon and then with a cheap one enhanced one. By the way, I know that someone will definitely wonder why I have 2 Karmai crystals in blade but then switched one to attack. That's because I was running with a Jarian helmet with 10% bonus exp instead of my gears. But when I finally bought the exp crystal after numerous tries, by the way, as I have mentioned, purchase reservation doesn't work for me. So when I bought it, I finally switched the helmet. And so the boss set effect from 4 pieces covers 1 attack speed, which I would be lacking without 1 Karmai crystal in my setup with a Jarian helmet. By the way, a Jarian helmet is not a bad option if you don't have gears yet. A Jarian has more depth than gears, and it also has 15% stun resist bonus, which will be hard to compensate. As for my first impressions, well, I have recorded them approximately after a week since awakening, so I'll just retell them now, fusing with the latest experience. Basically, my very first guesses in that video were correct. It is almost exactly the same original playstyle with similar skills, except that at level 56 you will feel a lack of control without switching to the blade skill tree, which by the way is getting better at 57th level and will get better at level 58-59. But even then it is not as good as it was in blade tree. You do get a lot of huge AoE controls, but blade controls were focused mainly on getting enemy close to you and or keeping them in the same place, while Musindo skills mainly extrude opponents, which would be ideal for a ranged class, but you're not. That said, with Musindo you should always try to keep a small distance between you and your enemy in order to maximize your damage output. I will explain why in one of the future videos. While with the blade you should only try to kick your enemy's ass, in the actual meaning. Don't get me wrong, with Musindo you should also try to hit them in the back. You could also say that lots of super armor on Musindo skills is different from blade, and you would be right, but it actually feels similar to iframes on good old chase skill, which by the way was removed before the awakening. Not the skill itself, but the iframe. The real difference between them is that in iframes you are invulnerable, while in super armor you're not protected from controls, you're slightly damaged and get debuffs. But since the super armor is present on attack skills, you don't need to dash as much to stay alive. since I compared it to the old skill, and actually there is no iframe on chase anymore, plus you can use it with Musindo as well, survivability with Musindo is better by a huge margin. One more difference is that you don't spam your main damage skills that often, as you cannot use them during cooldown, while on Blade you could spam it endlessly. Other than that, a part of spin to win aka sidestepping skill, which is faster with Musindo, and one stun skill called Blader's Spirit, which by the way is similar to kicks but 360 degree. All the other similar attacks, including basic attack, are slower than with Blade but with higher damage and larger AoE. So in the first time after switching to Musindo you will feel stronger but slower. You can safely run with Awakened weapon all the time, even without switching to the Blade skill tree at all. But there are still some skills worth to be left and some that you must have. I'll explain that in the next episode and also during videos with Awakened skills tree. Not quite sure when will be the next video, but it will take me quite a while to get the last skill upgrade of the level 62 anyway. Not even to mention that we might get some kind of huge revamps in the future. And talking about that, if you haven't seen the fully translated Musindo skills tree, then check out that video. And that was probably everything that I wanted to include in this video. I'll make a separate playlist from Musindo series, just in case that is all you're interested in, then you can find the link in the description below this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.